Charles, this is going to prove to be one of the strangest episodes we've done. We haven't really revealed to people where we're going today, but before we do that, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, and we're going to, I think, show people the world center of the next HOP or autonomous zone. We're in the center of Washington Square Park, where I remember it fondly, and a bunch of ne'er-do-wells has taken over the fountain area and left behind a scene that's difficult to describe, so we're just going to show it to you.
Yeah.
We walk over there.
This whole scene is a little bit difficult to describe
Right.
today. I mean, normally on a day like this, the park would be, as someone would say, chock-a-block full.
Right. Actually, as I see it, isn't that charming they've got an American flag there, but actually that's an upside-down American flag, which is a symbol of distress. Yeah. And it's sure, I mean, what's left here, I mean, if this is what you get through a communist venture, anybody who wants this is free to leave.
Well, and there was just a fight in here a minute ago that just ended. I shouldn't have distracted myself trying to record that fight because it caused us to start about 2 minutes late. But that's okay. I tell you, my biggest concern today, Charles, in addition to being beaten down by an allegedly peaceful protester, is that it's super hot.
Yeah, well, let's get into the shade. And
Yeah,
we'll
it can have a negative impact on the operation of the
Sure.
equipment. So I just want to let everybody know at the outset here, if there is any disruption, the balance of the program will be shared on Patreon and Subscribestar. And for people
walk up the diagonal here.
For people who are sponsors, they'll be able to enjoy the full show should anything disrupt it. And for people who aren't sponsors that don't like that, I could say too bad, because last week, Charles, many people saw when we went to the rally there at Columbus Circle.
Right.
After that conversation with an individual who had a UHF transmitter on his bicycle, the broadcast was cut.
Yeah.
And I don't have any, empirical evidence that that was done intentionally, but
Right.
I have been looking online, and people have spoken about things like stingrays and whatnot. I've become aware of a device called an IMSI catcher.
Right.
Which is basically a cell phone tower simulator, and what someone can do is this can be made out of like a home router or other similar type devices. Yeah, we should check that out because this is strange.
Right.
And what it does, Charles, is it broadcasts a signal that is essentially a cell phone tower signal, and when it gets near your phone, it will pull your phone off of the cell tower that it's using, and since it's simulating a cell tower and not actually connecting you to a network, it would disconnect the network and cause the type of failure that we saw
That's
last.
interesting. What is it? What is a van?
A corrections bus. It's very strange. I've seen a lot of these around.
Well, maybe they're getting ready to round people up.
Maybe. Want to go look at it?
Sure.
Let's see what they say, because that guy might be a corrections officer. Either that or they're getting ready to release criminals right into the park. We've heard that they've been letting people out of jail, so I mean...
Yeah, meanwhile keeping Steve Stockman in jail.
Right. Despite his wife actively petitioning to let him out, despite him not being a violent offender, and despite him being advanced age and having serious health concerns that put him at particular risk for COVID-19.
Yeah.
Hi. How come this corrections bus is here? Sorry?
Hold on. Yes, sir.
How come this corrections bus is here?
We're just assisting with PD and everything that they need to get done.
So in other words,
If PD dispatch us to come out, then we come out to them.
well, stay
Is this
safe.
to round up people who might be arrested?
Yes.
Okay.
Stay safe.
Yeah,
and thank you for
thank you.
protecting all of us. Thank you.
I thought that the chairman of your union said a lot of good stuff at that meeting that people don't realize. It's important that...
Well, yeah, corrections is a department where a lot of stuff is not seen,
Right.
just heard, so it's good to have our union boss is good to speak out for us and make everything known for us.
Right, and he definitely knew what he was talking about. I think there's a lot of aspects of being a police officer or a corrections officer that the average person doesn't understand. This 50A law, people want transparency, I understand that. But at the same time, somebody like you who's working for the corrections department doesn't want your personal information becoming available to people who are incarcerated, because then they threaten your family. All right, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's good to get insight like that,
Right.
Charles. I'm glad that guy spoke with us.
So Jason, is this where you spend a lot of time at NYU?
The NYU library. No.
Probably why you learn so much.
Screening. Right.
Honestly, I spent too much time in the library.
I don't think I learned nearly as much as you in college.
Well,
but
you knew more than I
Let
did.
me show you something interesting in here, Charles. The floor,
I don't think you can go in.
we're not going to go in, we're going to look through the window. The floor has a really unique pattern on it.
It's nice.
And it is allegedly designed so that when you look, I don't know if people can see it with the glare, but there's
MC Escher?
Well, it's they closed it since I went here. See that?
What?
Because somebody jumped off. That used to be totally open, those stairs. And the floor was designed to look like spikes to discourage people from jumping off. But then somebody did jump off, so I guess they added those decorative fences.
Why would you be walking around in graduation robes in June? I guess you could go. Now let's see. Is this shady enough for you over here on this side?
I'm fine. I'm just concerned about the cameras overheating, so we can go wherever.
Yeah, we'll head down to Broadway and then go downtown. If that's all right.
If the cameras do overheat, I have a third phone in my pocket that we could improvise with, but
All
that will also have to be posted later to Subscribestar and Patreon. I definitely want to thank the generous sponsors. So, what else is in the news this week, Charles?
Well, I think we should start by saying Happy Father's Day to all
Oh
the
yes, I meant
fathers.
to say that to you. I'm so sorry.
Well,
Happy Father's Day,
Thank you.
Charles.
It's my pleasure. Big shout out to all the fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, people who identify as fathers. And it's a good day to really take stock of, the importance and fleeting nature of life. So I hope a lot of families are gathered together to celebrate, but we're taking time out of our Father's Day to go down and take a look at new protests. And this is
That's the Stern School of Business that we were talking about, I think, last week.
right. And
There
this
used to be
is
a huge screening room in there. So we
Well-
used to have classes in there.
Is that right? So I have a friend who's on the board of NYU, and he explained to me that decades ago, the NYU board members looked at each other and said, wait a minute, what's wrong with us? I mean, we're in the center of New York City. There are a lot of
No
businesses.
business school.
There's no business school. And there are a lot of rich alumni. Why don't we lift our aspirations instead of being just whatever they were back then, 30th in the country? Let's aspire to be one of the top schools in the nation. And so they, over a period of many decades, they recruited powerful, accomplished, well-connected and thoughtful trustees, and they've really built this thing into something that does compete with the better schools in the world. So
I question that, but I suppose it does.
no, it really does. You're being modest, Jason.
Oh, look, Dojo is boarded up.
Yeah.
Or it might be out of business. This was a restaurant. I think I saw it with a sign that said it was out of business, which that place has been there since I went to NYU.
Yeah.
But it looks gone.
Yeah, and so this area, where we are headed in a second, is the main artery. It's actually becomes, I believe, it originally became US 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Broadway did?
Yeah. It's a main road, the Albany Post Road. It goes from where we're going to walk all the way up to Albany.
You should go there and tell Andrew Cuomo what the hell is up.
Yeah, with a straitjacket for him.
Okay, so we're playing live here, it looks like, Charles.
Good. So here, that's Spectrum's local headquarters, boarded up. I've been over there to get some things organized with cable, and I think this is also Whites in Luxembourg, that awful law firm. That's their headquarters right there.
They're gonna have to change their name.
And now look, this is where they were rampaging last week down in here. You see there's still
What's that? 6 weeks of 7. What does that mean?
Love me or leave me, I don't know. When you say 7, that reminds me of one of my favorite Seinfeld episodes.
Yeah.
Trying to get out of his relationship. I know. We'll name the boy. Maybe 7.
Or soda. Weren't they trying to?
7 was one. George liked 7.
One of the choices that they wanted. Yeah. So, well, should we address, Charles, the reason for the Leftorcist graphic?
I think so. I think the art department has once again outdone itself. We have all along the first time you saw the protests, they struck both of us independently as being too well organized, too well coordinated, and too well financed, frankly. And from the very beginning, I suspected there was some sort of hard left, more than one hard left group, just seizing on this to try to whip it up into a frenzy. And overnight, on a great site I'd recommend to people called www.rantingly.com, they had video up there, used to be up there, of one of the supposed promoters of Black Lives Matter admitting,
one of the founders.
Yeah, admitting.
Patrice Cullors.
Admitting, is that even her real name?
I think so, I don't know.
Yeah, and so admitting that they're trained Marxist revolutionaries. So we're going to look, I mean, that's no shock. But the problem for her and the group is if they just stuck to being a political party, they could probably get away even with being a hard left political party, because there is a communist party in America for some reason.
And they're marching with Black Lives Matters when we see them.
Right. But the
No Mask crew. Got to give them a high five.
The second you mix in a charity to a political group, they're now saying the mission of Black Lives Matter, somebody I think on CNN Friday night said, is to remove Donald Trump and Mike Pence. That is not a charity. You cannot do that. And William Barr and the IRS are on notice that they have to do something about this. There's some blockbuster articles coming out in the next 48 hours to take the novices through detail from a top person's perspective. And I'm not referring to me, I'm referring to people who are professionals. Just how far out of line Black Lives Matter, various organizations are. So there'll be a lot of news on that. And today we'll see. This is only in America, I suppose. Here in one of the early capitals of the United States of America, we're headed down to a rally promoted by the Luciferian New World Order. And I don't think it's going to look like a Brooks Brothers catalog. I think it's going to be something quite interesting to see.
But did you think it was interesting, Charles, that in 2018 or 19, I can't remember when this happened, but the Church of Satan of Arkansas put up a Baphomet statue, and it was determined that it had to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, this gets into the definition of what is a religion.
Right.
And, you know, I think there needs to be some new case law on that, because clearly advocating the violent overthrow of the United States of America following the removal of Trump and Pence, so that you end up with all 50 states and major cities filled with those fountains that we just saw.
Well, that's like a mini CHOP right there, isn't it?
Right. And that, Bill Still has several videos out in the last 24 hours, but one of them...
that was disturbing.
Yeah, that to me, if there ever were an argument for the National Guard to be called out forthwith, that video, if true, is one.
Let's describe it, because Bill Still put up a video that he says an anonymous poster had put up, and the guy describes Black Lives Matter and Antifa members, who he said were like cross-dressing sissies, in his words, were knocking on people's doors, kicking in the doors, and demanding payment of reparations right there on site. And some guy said, "Get out, get out." And they said, "We're going to do to you what you've been doing to us." And they raped the man in front of his wife and daughter.
That's just outrageous.
I mean, that's Nazi stuff. That's beyond.
Right. And that's something that, you know, if we had a real FBI, that's something where the president should be directly involved. I mean, the president got involved commenting on the George Floyd incident. The president needs to get to the bottom of what really happened there in CHOP. And I think it's time to turn chop into the
Chop suey.
into chop.
Well, there was 10, just before I left, I saw a report that 10 or 11 people got shot last night.
Right.
It's quickly degraded into absolute chaos, but let's just talk about this for a second, Charles, because we hear them chanting, no justice, no peace, but this becomes the question, what do they consider justice? Because
Right.
if the cop is in jail and he's facing second-degree murder charges and justice is in progress, but they still continue to destroy cities, maybe they don't think the United States justice system is actually justice. And you know, Bishop Gators has told me about this horrendous practice called buck breaking, where slave masters used to do that, rape the strongest male slave in front of all the other slaves to break his will and to, you know, demoralize the entire group. And if somebody thinks that doing that 400 years later to somebody who wasn't even necessarily related to anybody who did that is justice, then I got a problem with no justice, no peace.
Right. No, I got a problem with no justice, no peace, period. That's not the way the system is set up.
It's a threat.
Right. And anyway, I also have a problem with the way American history is taught, in that it isn't taught. And
Look at that.
look at this. Have you spit in a lying corporate journalist's face today?
That's nice.
Nice.
So they want people to just be violent against everybody who's not, you know, here's a guy who's engaged in
Graffiti.
right now, and he's got some
Another one.
templates, so obviously he's...
Someone else here? Nice art projects.
So do you guys consider this vandalism or activism?
It's art.
Yeah, but do you own this building? Who gave you permission?
These are public, you know, this is a wall that they're going to take off later. We're not damaging their property.
Okay, but you're spraying everybody here with chemicals. I don't believe that you have permission to do that. It's my business when I walk down the street and breathe your pollution.
You're getting sprayed by this chemical.
Sorry?
You're not getting sprayed by this chemical.
I smell it just walking right over here. I don't think you have permission to do this. Why don't each of you show me your faces? Why don't you guys show me your faces right now? Because you're cowards? Is that why you want to deface property? And you want to be vandals? And you think that that's your right, correct?
I have permission with the gallery, sir. Please mind your business.
This is
Okay.
organized by art gallery.
I'd
Oh,
like
sure.
to see, what's the name of the art gallery? Because I don't appreciate them spraying spray paint on the street. What's the name? What's the name of the gallery? I think you're lying.
Anything.
That's
I
right.
think you're lying.
I'm not lying. You're an idiot.
I'm an idiot because you're vandalizing a building and spraying spray paint in the middle of the street. Are you guys involved with that?
No, they're just watching.
Who are you?
I'm me. Who are you? You got the mask
What's
on.
the mean?
Let me see who you are.
Put the mask on, buddy.
I'm Jason Goodman. Let me see who you are. Put a mask on.
Oh boy.
Charles, it's become so unpleasant to be in public. We got nothing but vandals. Vandals who are defacing buildings, spraying chemicals in public.
Just like the government.
Maybe?
I don't think the government is here doing this. So there's no protection from police on the street right now. This guy's got, you know, paint just out in the street. If there is a gallery that has sanctioned this, I want to know who they are and why.
Yeah. There's a lot of it. Doesn't it seem organized? Or where do they get the paint? What do you call those things that they were putting the brushes in?
I don't know, but why would a gallery give them permission to paint something on somebody else's building just because it's wood and it's going to be taken down? I don't think that gives them the right to do that.
Right. Here we have another group here. I would be a little bit more careful with this group, Jason. A, we're outnumbered, and B,
gonna
there's a
say
lot of
anything.
them.
This is very irritating, Charles. It makes me want to...
This is
I don't
security
know
in
what.
front of Chase. This is a, see, they're handing out these.
Yeah, this is not a gallery. This is a like. This is broken. It seems. Something wrong with this. So, are you organizing the vandalism down there? The painting? No? These aren't your paints? Are you with a gallery or something? I see people painting buildings down there.
That's with Art to Heart, is the organization.
Art to Heart?
Yeah.
Are you part of Art to Heart?
No, I'm not part of it.
Who runs Art to Heart?
Art to Heart is run by Maxie Cohen.
We'll follow up with him. Thanks.
Thanks, or her.
Art to Heart. Good. Now we know.
But
You
so
know-
this whole, normally on a Sunday, this whole street would be thronged with people shopping, visitors from out of town. And, it was one thing when they just put the cardboard up, but now they're painting the cardboard. Next thing you know, they'll probably put kerosene on the cardboard and start firing up buildings.
Well, Charles, do you think these businesses want people to be painting things on them that they haven't asked them to be painted on them? And do you think that it makes potential customers more comfortable to come around here and do business with these businesses when they're controlled by obnoxious people who think it's their right to do vandalism?
Right.
I work on things that I can do. That's the first priority.
Yeah.
Are you guys here with Art to Heart?
I'm here with the Soho Collective. The Soho Collective that's right down here with the artists.
What is the Soho Collective?
Well, I call it Soho Collective, Soho Bid. The Bid. So they are allowing us to do the art.
Who is they that's allowing you to do this art?
Let me get the name. His name is
And who are you painting?
like a version of Kaepernick.
Oh, yeah.
His name is James Cavello.
James Cavello.
And so it's Soho Bid, and he has an art gallery.
Do you know the name of it?
Yes, actually I do.
So all the
Westwood Gallery.
Westwood Gallery. All these businesses have said, yeah, go paint on our businesses?
You have to talk with him, but
All
it's
right.
a part of the bid.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
The bid. I don't understand what that means, Charles.
I don't know either. A lot of painting going on, though.
That says Black Power. Wow, and the door to the bank was broken. Did you see that? The inner door.
Wow.
So they're trying to get in there.
Why aren't they painting in there?
Exactly. I mean, we now have stories. We should be clear that hasn't been confirmed that what that guy said in the video that was republished by Bill Still actually occurred. But it seems like not a far leap from people kicking in the doors to businesses to kicking in the doors to individual homes.
Right.
Once they've established that there's no police around and nothing's going to happen other than the police, getting arrested for murder if they try to stop violent criminals, they're going to be emboldened to do all kinds of crimes.
Exactly. Now we should note that the traffic is a lot heavier than it was even 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I feel like further up it was less than it was.
But this artery was not busy at all. This is a big access to the Holland Tunnel.
Well,
So now we're making our way down into the belly of the beast.
yeah.
So the interesting thing is in college campuses and high schools, even elementary schools, we have reverential telling to impressionable minds of the great accomplishments of communism. They seem to leave out things like the tens of millions of people killed under communist rule in China, the brutal oppression in Venezuela that's still ongoing, the epic failure of Cuba. Just anywhere this has been tried, it's failed. And of course it's going to fail. The notion that everybody's property is everybody's, nobody's responsible for anything, and then just give up your ability to protect yourself, give us your guns, and there won't be a vacuum where unscrupulous people will seize power.
What is that, Charles?
I don't know.
003? 3 digits and a 3?
Oh,
Hector?
interesting.
What is that?
I have no idea. Good thing the driver has a mask.
I've never seen that before, like if that's a tourist thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
That's okay. So, we have all these people who are saying we want revolution, we want communism, and nobody can explain it. Change the world within yourself. Nobody can explain what you're going to get when you rip down the U.S. system.
They don't need to explain it. We're looking at it.
Yeah.
And this is as good as it's going to get.
And, the simple fact is, we can debate for the rest of our collective lives who was responsible for doing what back in 1619, or you pick a year. But the facts are today that the poorest Americans, let's take two groups, the poorest Americans under the age of 65 of all races are richer on average than some of the richest in countries spread across Africa, spread across Asia, etc. Now, you could say financial means is not a test for whether you're doing well or not doing well. You could make that argument, and it is certainly true that the American population is overpilled, over-medicated,
Yep.
Both by legal and illegal drugs.
Look at
What
this,
that
Charles.
Is that the collective that you got?
CBS All Active. What is this?
See those people there inside?
Oh, I don't know. We'll deal with them later.
Yeah.
Look into it and call them and see what they're all about. But I'm curious to know if those businesses gave that collective. I don't like the name. Sorry, so yeah, most people, even when they're poor in the United States, are better off than
Far better off.
other countries.
And people have amazing opportunities here. You don't have to go to Yale or Harvard to learn. In fact, it's probably an impediment to learning to go to Yale or Harvard these days. I mean, you can just use the internet and you can find out about almost anything. You can acquire the tools you may need to change your circumstances. Now, let's be a little bit
Let's
careful.
stay in the shade here because
Yeah.
that light's about to change.
Let's also be careful on that side of the street.
Yeah, we'll just, when it changes, we'll,
Cop over there.
that's a traffic cop who's not going to do much of anything. But this is another major east-west artery here, Canal Street. And this is also where I saw that bicycle group assembling a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see them again, as if on cue. Here's one
Right.
with his.
With the helmet, black clothing, backpack. Now, that could be a normal guy, but it definitely seems like wearing black on a day like today, if you're a cyclist who's regularly cycling around New York, is not something you would do. It's very hot today.
Yeah.
But that is maybe a tip of the hat to the black bloc people.
Right.
And for
Right.
those who don't know, black bloc is the clothing that Antifa wears, the
that right?
whole outfit and all that.
We could start walking and we'll get, by the time we get there. This intersection, like others, they go right through red lights all the time. Over that direction is Chinatown. You can see the McDonald's with the Chinese writing on it.
Yep. I don't think I've ever been in there. Do they have any Chinese-oriented McDonald's items?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And now we're on our way. Soon we'll pass, in maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we'll pass City Hall. Maybe there's some folks down there.
Well, it's interesting, I think, Charles, for people to see this stuff. Here's another store for rent. That was certainly in business
It's a
not
big
long
change.
ago.
A big chain, rather, for rent. Store for rent.
Yeah,
They're everywhere.
yeah. But a lot of places going out of business. You know, there was a pizza place on Fifth Avenue that had its sign taken down.
Really?
Well, I mean, it also said for rent, which I presume they took it down, maybe to move it somewhere else, who knows. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Charles, if you're running a pizza place on Fifth Avenue,
It's expensive.
the formula's got to be something like, you know, if we're making 10% more than we spend, that's the business.
Right.
Unless they're laundering money out of it or something, which pizza places are notorious for.
And dealing drugs.
Right, but point being, even 1 week of being closed, if you're a business like that
sure.
on Fifth Avenue, the formula goes out the window, and it seems like you're not going to be able to recover from that.
Yeah, nor are you going to rush back to. I mean, you got to look honestly at New York City and New York State. The rich people are fleeing in droves. They see their future ahead of them. They see this. They see a fall in tax revenues. They see the arguments of Bill de Stupidio Blasio that, well, again, it's the wealthy who are responsible for this. They created the conditions which gave rise to the looting, so let's have a special tax on the wealthy. I mean, the smart people have left, and the people who can't leave are trying to figure out how to leave.
Yes, that's true. I was last night thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm sad to say that, Charles, because I don't want to be like driven out of a city I've lived in and enjoyed until 3 months ago. But I mean, life is not so good here anymore. I mean, you can't really go anywhere.
Right.
And I mean, all I can basically do is stay inside my apartment by myself. At least I have the advantage of a semi-social community and all the people that appear on Skype. And you and I hang out every week, but you can't really interact with anybody.
That's right. And there's no sign this is going to change anytime soon. Oh, that's odd. Here's a car, looks like it has graffiti on it.
Wow, that's a Batman decal.
Is it?
Yeah. C6, it says over there.
I don't know what that means.
But I mean, so those are windows that are painted over. I mean, again, all these people that say, oh, it's just cardboard or just plywood or whatever. I wonder if the person who owns the business feels that way, because first of all, that plywood wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the attitude that causes somebody to think it's okay to spray paint it.
Right. And what's that lady doing?
She's hanging out with her stuff, I guess. So what is expected from this Luciferian parade, or is anything?
Well, I'm sure it'll be extremely well organized. Not.
I think it might be well organized.
Well,
community organized.
Yeah, starting on time, substantive, inclusive, tolerant.
Well, I don't know that any of those things are its goal.
That's what we're all told we have to be. But not so the New World Order, not so the Luciferians.
This place says help wanted.
Really?
That's surprising.
Yeah. So how did we get through here?
Dear people of the world, I feel like I know you. I don't know what that's all about.
Prime essentials.
They're selling this kind of stuff, and this is all tourist stuff. What kind of business could they be doing?
Not much. And we haven't seen reports yet of sales tax collections and income tax collections.
Oh, I saw a sign on that deli on 5th Avenue and about 12th or 13th Street. It's a 2-story deli that's changed hands a number of times. So there's an eviction notice or a rent demand stuck to the door.
Wow.
28 grand.
Wow, for how many months?
I would have to go back and review.
Probably
I didn't
3.
look at it that closely, but maybe 2 or 3 months, or it might have been 28 grand per month. I don't remember.
What? Wow.
But the point is, that's another business that's based on you got to sell a certain number of sandwiches and sodas per day, or you're behind the 8 ball, and those guys aren't making back 28 grand the day they open.
That's absolutely right.
So that's going to close.
Yep.
And they'll probably be sued. So all these people who think that they're not hurting anybody, that they have insurance or whatever, they're ruining people's lives. That could be an immigrant. I mean, those delis are frequently run by Korean families.
Right.
So who knows what impact that has. What if you're the matriarch of that family who moved here and spent all your life building that business, and now the destruction of it causes your health to deteriorate? I don't think these people have the right to make these decisions for everybody in New York City. Look at this, Charles.
Yeah. That used to be a McDonald's, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. But now it's just super graffitied up.
Pretty sure that used to be a McDonald's.
How could McDonald's go out of business?
Well, the individual franchisee could have.
It's rare.
It's tough. It's tough to lose money in a McDonald's. But I'm pretty sure one day I just had a meeting down here, and of course, when I used to go to McDonald's, I arrive early and have my coffee in there.
Well, we're kind of in the financial district now, Duane Street.
We're technically a little bit north of it, but you're close. I mean, we got City Hall is over there on the left. Below that is really the financial district. but you're close.
And is Gracie Mansion within the grounds of City Hall?
No, it's up on the Upper East Side in East End Avenue, like 80s, high 80s, 90s.
Huh.
It's quite substantial.
Why do they still have that? That seems like a ridiculous thing, and it's so far away. Like,
Well, there's no carbon footprint of that, right?
that's what I mean. It makes no sense. They could just make a condo inside City Hall, and it would be modern and could be probably huge and accommodate
Right.
the governor and sell that Gracie Mansion or turn it into a museum and make it a profit center.
Yeah.
Why don't we defund the mayor?
We should definitely defund the mayor. We should consider defunding these extravagant pensions. Careful here.
Defund pensions, defund the mayor. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of ways efficiencies could be found without cutting off major services that everybody in the city uses,
Right.
and also doing all the things that they're talking about. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea to eliminate police to add mental health workers or social workers, but what if we put more of them on staff with the police? Because wouldn't you want the cops there to protect an unarmed medical like that if they go into
Sure.
a volatile situation?
Sure, I honestly think what the city does, particularly with regard to the homeless population, is unconscionable. We have how many different state and city officials who make total compensation packages in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you see these people who, many of them have to be mentally ill, you know, with their shirts off in the middle of the winter on the sidewalk.
I haven't seen de Blasio do that.
Yeah, yet.
Exactly,
hope.
it's still summer.
We can hope. But that is City Hall there.
Yep. People will recognize I've been down there a number of times. Oh, the phone is getting hot, I can feel it.
No?
Well, these breezy moments in the shade, I think, help.
Good. We're about another, I'd say, 8 or 10 minutes away from where we're going.
Yeah.
All in the shade, so that should be good for you.
Well, if it's on time, it would have just started.
It seems more crowded down there.
Yeah. So let's see if people have anything to say, Charles.
Yeah.
Comments.
Well, you can really multitask.
No government worker deserves a pension. All 401k like private sector. That makes sense. What would happen if they just did that?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest scams of all state is that when things were going well in the stock market,
Right.
a deal was cut, I don't know if it's still in existence, to guarantee the rate of return on pensions, pension investments to, I think, city and state workers at, I believe, 9% per year.
Wow, that's super high.
Well, it's an absurd proposition, because who stands behind that guarantee, right? I mean, you can't raise the money to pay off that guarantee in the event of a financial collapse. It's just ridiculous. And it was a stupid move. And I forget who did it. It might have been Bloomberg.
Had enough says, gotta dump the UN like yesterday. There was a lot of reporting last week that didn't get too much mention that, who was it called on the UN to investigate the handling of the protests and
Yeah.
even talking about having UN police intervene?
Yeah, there's a UN Commission on Human Rights or something. It's talking about urging the UN to investigate systemic racism in the US. I mean, I think the UN should do the world a favor by disbanding, much the way the League of Nations did when they couldn't stop Adolf Hitler's rise and Mussolini's rise. They just said, this shit's not working,
Right.
so
Get
let's
rid of
stop it. And
I agree.
And most people don't know that the United States was not a member of the League of Nations. We refused to join it
Why?
because it didn't make any sense.
So, but why did they join the UN then?
No, well, we had World War II, and people felt differently about preserving the peace. I mean, these multilateral organizations, they sure can produce nice, fancy reports that are meaningless, and they hold great parties, and they have all excuses to abuse the environment by flying people around and having them stay in fancy hotels and eat and drink.
Swanning around.
Right, and do they stop wars? Nope. Do they make?
Well, I thought they're usually going to these places and raping people and
Yeah,
stuff.
they do that too.
So all
Yeah.
kinds of bad reports about the UN.
Right. So I think, if we want to defund things, I would defund the UN, I'd defund the World Health Organization, There are quite a few things I defund. Now there's the police getting ready
Oh yeah, look at that.
in case there's problems. And now I do hear a helicopter.
I don't see it.
I think it may,
This neighborhood's getting kind of built up itself, Charles.
yeah, all these modern apartment buildings were not here. A lot of that real estate is quite expensive.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But look, Zara's all boarded up. Now, I feel like this must be out of business, but they used to have sort of the third in line to B&H Photo. What was it?
Right.
Oh yeah, J&R Music used to be.
Right.
That's got to be gone. I haven't seen any ads from them in a long time.
Yeah, all of those. Remember 47th Street Photo? And
Yeah, that used to be a really vibrant, competitive market here in the city for that kind of stuff. But now it's just like B&H Photo or Amazon.
Right.
And B&H is in trouble, I think.
Or Apple, I guess, right?
Well, right. But they're just pretty much only selling Apple stuff. If you want general computer stuff or camera stuff, they don't really have it. This is the Astor Building, Charles.
Yep. Quite a few of those in New York.
Yeah. They even run the whole place up there by
Well,
Cooper Union.
and near Oregon. In Oregon, Astoria.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
This is the famous St. Paul's Chapel. And
Which was the one that got messed up on September 11th?
I don't know if it was this one or the one further down. Perhaps our crowd can help us out with this.
Look at this, Fulton Center. That's quite
Yeah.
strange.
It's nice. It's the entrance to the subway.
So that's new since September 11th.
Oh yeah, it's
That's
quite.
got a Shake Shack in it.
Well, when you go downstairs, it's quite amazing, actually. It's quite an operation.
I've been in there.
Yeah, and there we have World Trade
Oh
Center.
yeah, that weird kind of skeleton bird looking thing.
And then then there's what's that? One Liberty Plaza,
One World Trade Center,
One World Trade
the
Center.
Freedom Tower.
Freedom Tower. That's right.
The,
One Pretzel Center.
yeah. I'm not really a big fan of those dried up pretzels.
So this used to be AT&T's world headquarters.
Oh, it's Nobu now. That's interesting. Robert De Niro.
Yeah, but this was, I mean, when AT&T held a monopoly, this really, I remember going to meetings here. It was like it was almost like a religion. They were so powerful. And they did, some people who know something about investment banking will know this, that the firm I started with, Dillon Reed, was a powerful firm in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And one of their important clients was AT&T. And that was a good client to have. And came time to raise some money, and the AT&T executives had an opinion about what the interest rate was that they should pay. And Dillon Reed people said, it's not up to you. Thinking that AT&T would say, okay, whatever you want. And AT&T said, F you, we're history.
Wow.
Another dumb decision they made while we're talking, this reminds me of the Dillon Reed days. A friend of our family's actually was a partner, it's my father's friend, and he went on a trip to Japan in the early 60s and came back to report, he wasn't yet a partner, report what he'd seen. And he said, listen, you know, of all the stuff I've seen in the 60s, well, I was most impressed with this inventor who wants to give us the chance to buy 10% of his company for a nominal amount of money.
What company was it?
Sony.
Sony. Yeah, that's too bad they didn't do that.
And the Dillon Reed people were like, what?
Well, because I mean, Japan in 1960, it was like going to Mars, right?
Right. Yeah, it was just the very beginning where the stuff that came out that said made in Japan was just, there was nothing there.
Right.
Now, it doesn't look like there are that many people in Zuccotti Park right now.
Did we miss it?
It's supposed to be at 2 o'clock.
I mean, could it have assembled and left in 17 minutes?
I don't,
Are you guys here for the Luciferian parade?
no.
That shirt could have fooled me. I mean, that Saturn cube over there is pretty Luciferian.
Right.
We've spoken about that before.
Yeah, I don't see much of a thing going
Did you
on.
guys see a parade over here?
Thanks.
Well, this is a major
Maybe it's the invisible Luciferian order.
anticlimax. Right, there's witches and whatnot who are making people disappear.
Well,
Charles,
there's cops
another
over there.
Verizon van.
But I'll ask the cop.
Yeah. They say
This
we-
is
we've already
Zuccotti Park.
arrested everybody.
This is where Occupy Wall Street took root, whatever year that was.
Yeah. And then what is this thing?
We wanted to ask
They'll
this
know.
guy.
Yeah. I'll stay over here and record you.
Hi there. Yeah, wasn't there supposed to be a protest here at 2 o'clock?
Not sure.
You don't know? Yeah. Thanks.
It was definitely scheduled on the internet. Like, why are those guys here if it's not for watching a protest? Well, Charles, this is the most anticlimactic Luciferian parade ever.
Yeah. But there's a helicopter over there.
Yeah, it just flew by.
It's going that way.
Well, I don't know.
Shall we?
What do you think we should do? Let's go over to the World Trade Center, I guess, and see what's going on there.
Sure.
So you guys are not here for a permitted
I
Luciferian...
think there might be people at City Hall in the Detroit area.
City Hall? Okay.
Oh, let's
Thank
go
you.
back to that. That's a good idea.
Thanks.
I mean, why have a parade at City Hall on Sunday when nobody's there?
Why do anything in support of Lucifer?
Good point. I
Have
mean,
you-
but it's all closed off. What does this guy say? Is that just to keep people out? Was there a demonstration scheduled for 2?
No, I don't know about that.
But people have been asking you about it?
Again, I don't know about that. I can give you any answer.
I don't know. Perhaps that was to distract us, Charles.
Gonna-
Cause us to believe there was a Luciferian parade here so they could do
Yeah,
it
see,
somewhere
there's-
else.
Helicopter.
Another one just flew by.
No, Jason. Should we?
Well, we'll head over to City Hall and we'll see. I mean, what sometimes happens on these interesting investigations, Charles, is that we just happen to run into things. Now look at that. See that? Some kind of radio transmitter up there on the police equipment.
Wow.
That looks very cell phone-ish. I would not be the least bit surprised if the cops have the direct ability to turn off your cell phone if they don't like what you're saying. So we put a mask on the
What is it?
statue. He's wearing a mask.
Oh,
So now my apartment building has put up a sign that says, please wear a mask. Now they did send out a little memo a while ago telling you to do that,
right.
but I didn't get the memo.
You're anti-mask.
Well, yes, for a number of reasons. First of all, I don't want to decrease the oxygenation of my blood and increase the possibility of getting sick by reducing my immune system or concentrating latent viruses that might be there, as Dr. Mikovits told us you
Right.
could. I'm just also not on board for non-doctors or even doctors telling people to take prophylactic medical action without having examined those people. I
Right.
mean, they're all the ones who tell me that there's no double-blind placebo study for whatever it is that whatever alternate medicine person is talking about. Now they have done a medical recommendation with no double-blind study. So why do we trust that that's useful at all?
We don't. I mean, they lost my trust in the first week, you know, with that model, and then everything was wrong. And
Right. Wait, do we hear? No. Here's that 1984 sign again.
which one?
Have you seen that before?
Which one?
This.
It's a safety.
Wear a mask.
Oh,
And then, I mean, for somehow this reminds me of RoboCop. Omnicorp that controls the cops in the future.
Uh-huh. There definitely is a helicopter.
I think that's a Tesla Y, Charles.
Huh. Maybe it's over the back of City Hall there.
We'll check it out.
I do hear something. Voices.
Outside of your head, right? Whoa. So Charles, there's something else interesting developing in the matter of George Floyd. There are a lot of people looking into some of these really strange coincidences. The two guys knowing each other. The third security officer came forward and said there was no doubt that they knew each other, that he had observed them talking to each other, that they had a beef. He said that, and I don't know if people saw the video interview where he said it, but the guy had no doubt. He didn't equivocate at all. And then the next day by email, some written statement came that said that he made a mistake. You're talking about the wrong guy.
Right.
What did you think of that?
I think, once again, we don't really know what happened there, and we certainly deserve to know.
Hillary Clinton could write a book about it.
Watch yourself, Jason. You're in the street.
Well, so the other thing that's interesting about it is we know that they worked at this Nuevo Rodeo restaurant. And that is in a block with one other building that has the address 3003, 27th Avenue or something like that. 3003, I think 27th Avenue, 27th Street in Minneapolis, and that is the Independent Order of Odd Fellows.
That way? Where the cops are?
The owner of the Nuevo Rodeo restaurant is a member of that thing, and I was never aware of it until you and I saw it right down the street from Parliament in Oslo, Norway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an ancient society, actually, formed originally in England and then mirrored in the United States in the early 1800s.
In Baltimore.
In Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah, so this guy who's part of it seems to be like, there was another interview I saw with a Somali businessman who said that the owner of that restaurant and the member of the Odd Fellows, he owns this Somali mall that I remember Laura Loomer did some story about. And the Somali business owners in there said that this guy is very unfair to them and, you know, making it like modern slavery. So he doesn't seem like the best guy. Even his own community doesn't seem too fond of him. And it's just interesting to me that, you know, in the building with Nuevo Rodeo is another check cashing business. We've now seen the transcript from the 911 call of the owner of Cup Foods, who called 911 and said that George Floyd just used a counterfeit 20. In that 911 call, the owner of Cup Foods says we get a lot of counterfeit bills because we're a check cashing business. So now we have two different competitive check cashing businesses, one of which is seemingly inside Nuevo Rodeo, or at least the same building, and that burned down too. So we've got George Floyd accused of using a counterfeit 20. We've got all this weird stuff going on around the business that they worked at together, where there's another check cashing business. I mean, are these guys laundering money through check? Couldn't you go to a check? Well, the other thing is, if you're a check cashing business giving out counterfeit cash, you're taking in everybody's checks.
That's right.
Wow. So I wonder what's going on there.
A lot to find out. A lot of police ready for something.
Are you guys aware of a parade, a Luciferian parade that was supposed to happen in Zuccotti Park? Is there anything scheduled for over here?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
All right, thanks.
Stay safe, guys.
All right.
So I guess they're just expecting people to come over the bridge as they have.
Oh,
the
that
past
could be. That could be
several
it,
weeks.
exactly. Well, I suppose we could go back up one of these north-south routes.
So, I mean, I guess the Luciferian thing is canceled.
Or actually, it was right there in front of us. We just couldn't see it.
Yeah, it's invisible.
We go.
Invisible Luciferians. Well, wherever you like, Charles.
Yeah, we could circle back. We haven't been in this area. I mean, I don't think you and I have been up in this area before.
I mean, again, I think there's enough going on now that coming back and going over this stuff again is worthwhile for people to see how it's developing. Is that Benjamin Franklin?
We could look.
I think it is. Is he in danger of being pulled down? He probably did something 300
No,
years ago
he
that people
was
don't
against
like.
slavery. But this
I
is
don't
Benjamin
think he
Franklin.
made his bed, and
Oh, he was a wild man. Ladies' man.
it's got to be, well, then me too then. Wreck the statue. Somebody's got to have some reason to do it.
Go for it or not?
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm not entirely against removing or repurposing or creating a new understanding of a historical figure who perhaps now, in modern context, we have a better understanding of what
Well,
they were doing.
So I will respectfully disagree. I think, somebody made a decision to put the statue up, and let's say the person was a criminal, in modern terms. I think it'd be worthwhile to still keep the statue there to remind people that in a different age, at a different time, people venerated this person, and look how much we've learned since then.
Right.
But when you just willy-nilly start tearing down statues,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm for tearing it down. I'm saying if somebody went, over to this courthouse or whatever and said, hey, Alfred Pike is a racist and did all this bad stuff, we want to take the statue down and we want to put it in a museum of racism or something, I could entertain that conversation. That's not an unreasonable thing to raise. When you want to start destroying public property and pulling it down because you think it should come down, I don't
Right.
agree with that.
or somebody comes over to your property and says, I don't like the way you have a lawn.
Right. Destroy it.
Yeah, I'm going to destroy it. I mean, either there is such thing as private property or there isn't.
I'll tell you something else, Charles. The concept of Black Lives Matter lionizing Joanne Chesimard or whatever is absolutely no different than somebody who wants to go to a NASCAR thing with a Confederate flag. I don't support that. I wouldn't use a Confederate flag. I agree that it's a hateful symbol for really most people, and that even if you like it, you should at least recognize that.
Right.
But at the same time, running around supporting the Weather Underground and the Black Panthers and all these other maniacs is no better.
Right. Exactly. So what is this on the right? That's the
It's,
municipal building?
I don't really know what it is. I've passed by this thing a million times.
Do you think it has a carbon footprint?
I think it has a huge marble footprint.
But I mean, it has to be heated and cooled.
Oh yeah. I guess marble buildings, though, are probably pretty efficient for that, aren't they?
I don't know. I mean, it gets pretty cold here. It gets pretty hot here.
But it's like a giant rock. Something to do with the courts, for sure. I don't know what goes on in there.
David Dinkins Municipal Center. Boy, oh boy.
Wow, what was
Speaking-
it before that?
David N. Dinkins Municipal Building. Now, that individual nearly, along with Abe Beam, nearly drove this city into the gutter. Name a building after him.
Was he the first black mayor of New York?
I don't know.
I think he was.
Was he?
I'm trying to think of who would have been before him.
No clue.
He was like late 80s, early 90s, right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no. He was early 90s, definitely, because I took a 3D picture of him at a parade, and that would have been at NYU.
There you go.
I have that somewhere.
So I don't know where the Southern District is. Is it one of these buildings?
Well, I don't
I
know.
would guess it's probably close by. So we've had some big developments in the Southern District of New York.
Right.
So people understand, there are either 93 or 94 districts, I forget which. And the Southern District is thought by people in the Southern District and observers of criminal justice system to be very, very powerful. There's a revolving door through the Southern District, in and out of these big law firms.
And the FBI.
And exactly. And on Friday, the sitting U.S. attorney was informed that he was resigning. He briefly contested that, and within less than 24 hours, he was OUT on his ASS. And I think part of the reason for that, as a guess, is that the Southern District has been obstructing or impeding the investigations that are being pursued by Durham et al. Into the complex financial matters. What's this?
I want to just show you something. First of all, this is the FBI building for New York, right here. And have you ever seen this thing, Charles?
No?
Well, you can see it's connected directly by a line right here over to that sword sticking up in the middle. And the big Juneteenth presentation or demonstration was happening here yesterday. And this is a bizarre sigil that shows some weird imagery. This is the African burial ground, and it's a coffin, I believe, of a slave, and you can see the skeleton. I don't know if you can see, it's holding in its arms a baby skeleton. So it's like a mother holding a baby in a grave, and there's all kinds of weird stuff going on here. These symbols around the outside, I've only ever seen these on the Led Zeppelin 4 album. I don't know what that all means.
It's odd that they would allow people to walk over it.
Well, this is a sigil, and then right there is the African burial ground.
Huh. Yeah.
So this was like the slave trading stock market back in the day, and now it's like the least widely known, memorial of anything.
Yeah, that's, when people tell the history of the Civil War, or the War of Northern Aggression, depending on how you want to look at it, left out in the telling is the fact that the New York slave market and the New York slave merchants were very much against the, fighting the South. Absolutely.
Because they wanted the slave trade to continue.
Absolutely, but that's here in New York.
He gave us the thumbs up, but we weren't looking at him.
That's odd. So this, I don't think we've walked up this before.
But wait, you're saying the slave traders didn't want the war against the South to go?
No, they wanted the slave trade to continue. I mean, it was
That was how they made money.
Well, it was the triangular trade.
What was that again? Sugar to cotton to slaves or something?
Well, it was merchandise in the UK for rum for slaves in Africa.
Right, the rum went to Jamaica or something?
Yeah, the rum was made in Jamaica. Slaves were the biggest. Most people don't know the facts, but the estimated facts are that the estimates are that the use of slaves, African slaves, was far greater in the Caribbean than it was in the American colonies or in states. And the biggest population of slaves was in fact in Brazil.
Really?
It was massive.
Wow. When did they end slavery in Brazil?
Before they did in the U.S., I believe. So when you start thinking about, the wealth that was created on the back of whose labor, it's a lot more complicated than the
Just give us money.
Well, than the idiotic kente cloth-wearing Congress people and senators would have you believe. I mean, for one thing, kente cloth, that beautiful cloth, comes from Ghana, where different ethnic groups would sell other ethnic groups to principally Arabic slave traders, who would then traffic in them.
So is what's happening in Libya kind of rekindling that?
Well, it's obviously much smaller than it used to be, but yes. And the other thing that would happen is that there's an excellent book called White Gold, which tells the tale of an English person who was captured at sea and spent a whole bunch of time as a slave working for a leader in modern Morocco. I mean, a legendary leader who was extremely wealthy. He had, I think, something like 500 wives and concubines, and he would...
Are we walking too fast right now?
A little bit.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah. We don't have to go that slow, but...
So I recently saw a documentary about somebody who was talking about modern slavery in Dubai.
Sure.
Where they get offered a job and then they take their passport.
Exactly.
And they have no money, they have nowhere that they can go, they have no passport, and they're like, beaten and forced into indentured servitude by some powerful Emirati. And this is somebody from, whether it's Pakistan or name the African
Right.
nation or wherever. And I've also spoken to, when we did Daydreams of Dubai, someone involved in that knew a person who was like French or something, and she married some sheikh and was also now like a captive and couldn't leave and just basically stayed home ordering everything from every catalog because had unlimited money but not able to go anywhere.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and there seems to be something going on here, maybe health related.
Well, I think we're getting to some like shelters and stuff.
Well, you see all the police vehicles and the fire vehicle, but
You want to walk wide around this?
yeah, when I was doing a lot of traveling in the 80s and 90s, I used to, every time I went to London, I would have the same driver pick me up at the airport and take me to the hotel. And yeah, New York City Rescue Mission. That's
Yeah.
what it is. I don't know what's going on. And anyway, I would ask, you know, who have you had in the car recently who's interesting? And he told the tale of, he told the tale of this very powerful Saudi prince, and I forget, I don't want to make a mistake and name the wrong person, but an extremely powerful guy, arrived with his entourage, and I think it was two gigantic, let's get in the shade.
Yeah.
Two gigantic cargo planes. And
Of stuff?
And he proceeded to go into, there's something maybe going
It's a
on.
helicopter.
Yeah. He seemed to be kicked out of hotel after hotel. And until finally he was in this hotel and somebody, a maid had had her eye poked out by this guy.
What?
Yeah, and so she started a fire to get freed.
Oh my God.
And the fire truck came to the hotel, and the guards wouldn't let the, tried to say, you can't come in here. And, let's keep going. And
That was a pretty sketchy group.
I know. And so this guy ultimately got kicked out of the country. It was a big incident.
Poking out somebody's eye.
Well, yeah, I mean, when people say, you know, America's an unfair place, and, you know, you got to understand, I mean, compared to many parts of the world, you try doing what Black Lives Matter is
You'd
doing.
be killed immediately.
You know, in even a place like Egypt. Just try it over there. Try doing it in Mexico.
As a matter of fact, why don't they all leave here and go do it there and see what happens?
I hear something now.
It's just a car, or that guy on the. It's just definitely a lot of people riding around with backpacks, and I
Right.
don't think that that's necessarily
You don't have
something
a
that they
backpack?
wouldn't do. I mean, I've got the sound recorder, but no backpack. But I do know people who always went around with backpacks, and I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, maybe they put their laptops in them. And
Right. Lunch, laptop, charger, change of clothing.
weed.
Yeah. Well, I'm disappointed. I wanted to see that Luciferian thing.
No?
There's another Saturn cube over by St. Mark's.
Let's go up there.
Yeah. Maybe they're there. And the last time there was a Luciferian something or other, they were hanging out over there.
Sounds like it.
Well, the temperature has been holding up, at least.
At least it's not that humid.
It's strange. I mean, it seems like much less cars. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but normally when the temperature goes above 80, unless there's full blast air conditioning going in the apartment, it's really uncomfortable, but I've been mostly just having the windows open and the fan on, and it's been all right.
Yeah. It's, we haven't yet had the 95%, 99% humidity, 90-degree Fahrenheit days yet. And when those come, this is all going to change. What does FTW mean? FTP I get, but
Where's FTW? I guess the whites.
yeah, that's not racist.
Well, we don't know what it means.
So what would you say this is? This Tribeca or what is this?
Yeah, isn't it?
I don't know.
Pretty,
I hardly ever go here.
pretty sure. I think Red Camera used to be right around here. I'm not sure if they still have their New York store.
I don't think the owner of this building said it's okay to spray paint FTP on it.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Red Camera was somewhere right around here. Well, I wonder if the art store is doing good business,
Yeah.
selling spray paint to rioters. General Services Administration. Now, wait a minute. Isn't that a government thing, GSA?
It could be, it doesn't say whether it's federal, state, or city.
New York State, it says.
Does it? Okay.
Intej something or other. I couldn't make it up. Taste the nation.
Redefining American food.
Doesn't taste so good at the moment.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about this U.S. attorney being replaced. Now, this coming week, we have, and excuse me for this audience, we have fat fuck Gerald Nadler,
Right.
who is also a dumb fuck.
These are pre-existing conditions, Charles.
And he's my congressman, of all things.
Really bad.
Yeah, I really feel like he's wonderful.
What do you think about that one-eyed pyramid weeping?
It's some art.
But that's like weird, the one-eyed pyramid.
Yeah.
Say their names.
So just continuing though, he's got hearings to impeach Barr this coming week.
Nadler does?
Yeah,
To impeach Barr? I hadn't heard about that.
yeah.
For what does he want to impeach Barr?
Because you know, over the way that Barr is handling this, the Mueller investigation and the fact that they
Flynn
didn't
and-
get the reports, you know, the unredacted grand jury stuff.
So he wants to go against the Constitution,
course.
violate the sanctity of a grand jury, and that he refused to do that.
I believe I
causes him
did
to-
call him a dumb fuck.
It's really
I mean,
nuts.
it's amazing that that guy can keep his his law license, if he even has one now. And he's the head of the House, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee.
Terrible.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So you have that drama, and he also has manufactured, in my view, two whistleblowers, in quotes, who are on the Mueller team, who are going to testify before his committee, and obviously make allegations against Barr that Barr mishandled the closing out of the Mueller investigation. So we know that's coming.
Right.
And we'll see. I mean, what's his name? Shifty Schiff and Pelosi are talking about, you know, amping up hearings on that as well.
They
And
just can't.
They can't stop.
No, and they're not doing anything that helps anybody except their political, you know, not constituents, but they're the people who are going to benefit. You know, they're not doing anything other than obstructing the president. There's so much that they could be doing, but it's always this.
Well, and in truth, you know, what we have, we also had the interview that was, I really commend to the audience if you have time. Wasn't able to watch all of it. I watched from about 15 minutes in, Maria Bartiromo with Attorney General Barr. And a couple of comments were, I thought, very interesting in that interview. Should we go
We got a
across
bit
the
of a
street?
crowd there, Charles.
I think this is the homeless center where we got chased last time.
Yeah,
I think we should,
we'll cross. Yeah,
we'll cross at the, yeah,
yeah, in front of this cab.
sorry. It's like an obstacle
I
course.
think there's still cars coming here.
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll just go right where the taxi is.
So what's this? Mitchell, Gold, and Bob Williams.
And we can go now.
Home Furnishings.
We can go.
Yeah, so Maria Bartiromo was talking to Barr.
Yeah.
I mean, she asked good questions, but he pretty much didn't answer them.
Well, he wouldn't answer any specifics on a case, but he said he was asked, "Do you think this situation where the outgoing administration, in effect, launched a
Look at that, Charles.
Yeah, that's not 6 feet different.
It's also not supposed to be open yet. They're going to get in trouble.
Attempted to carry out a coup against an elected administration. Would you say, Attorney General Barr, that the closest parallel to that was the assassination of Abraham Lincoln? And Barr said yes.
Why didn't they say Kennedy? Because he's like, oh, I know guys who were involved in that. I don't want to talk about that.
Well, I
My
mean,
buddy George.
yeah, except that, I mean, the Lincoln thing kind of ushered in it. I mean, that was rugged.
Now wait a minute. Is this that place with the wings that had? Is this that place that was in the New York Post that has some secret thing in the basement?
I have no clue. Downtown Da Vinci, it says.
And then that place is open too. Look, all these restaurants are kind of open.
Yeah, and they're not outdoor open, and they're not social distancing or masking.
I mean, I support that, but I feel like they're going to use it to get people in trouble. Ed's Lobster Bar.
Yeah.
I've never been over here exactly before.
So just finishing on Barr for a second. So what he made clear is he said that Durham's investigation is widespread. And Bartiromo drew the contrast, maybe we'll go back there, drew the contrast that, bless you, between the way in which they handled the Hillary Clinton email investigation, allowing Bill Clinton to speak on the tarmac with Loretta Lynch, and the way they handled the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. And he did get into the issue of when did that investigation into the Trump campaign begin? Maria said it was not in July 2016, but much earlier. The point there being tying, I think, the dossier was originally in part financed by a Republican, Paul Singer, the billionaire, and then transferred over to Hillary Clinton.
Wait a minute.
What?
Pop in for contact-free pickup? What the hell does that mean?
Don't know.
Like contact tracing?
No. It's that you order online, pay online, and you're able to pick up the food without interacting with anybody, I think. But anyway, so just finishing on this if I could. They, it's nice. They, the fact that Barr had teams, Durham and Barr had teams looking into that chronology inexorably gets you into the issue of Perkins Coie, the law firm, and how it negotiated a deal that was so outrageously in favor of the Clinton campaign, allowing the Clinton campaign basically to scoop up vast amounts of money by, I would argue, breaking the law, saying that they were raising money for all the Democrat committees when in fact it was just going to Hillary. So when you start going back into that history and saying to yourself, all right, when did Hillary Clinton decide she was going to run for president again? I mean, she had been
This was
thinking
like
of-
1971, no?
right. No, again, after losing in 2008, when did she decide to run again? And how was the groundwork laid for her attempt to win?
Have you seen that before?
No, and this used to be, there used to be here a number of, let's see, what does the other one say?
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor, say her name.
Well, but there they made a point of painting it on not only the building, but also it looks like they just repainted it to go over the graffiti. So I don't think these guys want graffiti painted on.
I got it, yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. So when we go back into this chronology, I think the decision to steal as much money as possible by the Clintons through the Clinton Foundation was put in place in some sort of informal arrangement. I doubt it was inked in a memo or legal document. Probably in June of 2008, when it was clear that Hillary was not going to be the president in November 2008. So to understand what was going on in 15 and 16, I think you have to go all the way back to June 2008 and maybe before then to say, what was Hillary Clinton, what were the Clintons trying to make sure they got out of a Clinton presidency? Should Hillary win? And what were they trying to cover up? We know from excellent reporting done by Jeff Girth in his book, Her Way, that the Clintons, and there are movies about this, the Clintons pioneered the use of a war room in a campaign to aggressively go against their competitors and rivals, to compile files, to have stuff
Oppo research.
Right, and to seed negative stories with the press. That they began to do aggressively on national scale in 1991. By 1992, January 1992 was a really bad month. That's when Jennifer Flowers came forward.
Bad month for Bill.
Bill, yeah. And it looked like, he was going to maybe get knocked out. So by March of 1992.
Look at how dead it is here,
Yeah.
Charles.
Where is everybody?
I mean, that's weird, right?
Yeah, it's awfully quiet as well.
That's what I'm saying. Something strange going on.
Maybe that Luciferian march succeeded. And they took everybody to hell.
I don't know that was their goal either.
Yeah.
So it was a bad year for Bill in 1992.
So 1992, they put together a team led by Hillary Clinton. Remember, she was just the wife of the candidate. She had no elected experience at that point. And their first mission was to counter Jeff Girth's reporting on Whitewater. Whitewater, I think we've talked about it in the past, was much more than just a small little land deal involving 200 odd acres. It was a pattern in practice in Arkansas and other states of banks making loans to politicians and connected politicians that they shouldn't make at concessionary rates to buy assets, to subdivide property, and sell it to friends and insiders. It was a way to fatten up the coffers of politicians you wanted to enrich, fatten up the coffers of political parties, and it was all blatantly, excessively over the top, if not criminal, depending on the state in question.
Well, now, wait a minute, Charles. Isn't what's happening now with the contributions being made to various so-called charities through this Act Blue thing that then go to Amalgamated Bank and then go to Democratic candidates, some similar version of what you're describing?
Yeah, it is. But just going back into March 1992 to square a circle, as it were, the key people who were in charge of finding out and hiding the damaging information on Whitewater and about 75 other scandals were Loretta Lynch,
Right.
and Vince Foster, and Webb Hubbell.
Yeah, so if you're not down with keeping the secret, maybe you wind up like
In jail or dead.
Vince Foster. What is this weird place with an alligator skeleton and 332 as its address?
I have no idea.
I've never seen this place before that I'm aware of. That's strange. Sorry to interrupt you there,
It's
Charles.
okay.
I'm frequently and easily distracted by weird
all right.
things going on around. So they're doing the same sort of thing, basically sending, I don't think this was closed before this all started, no Hostar.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So they're coming up with more and more constantly creative ways to divert funds to political campaigns.
Right, and it's the central approach is as follows. You need to have a bank account, an excuse to have a bank account. So what you do is you say that you have a political campaign, or you say you have a charity, or you say you have a company, but you don't really do the paperwork for it. And you find a friendly crooked banker, of which unfortunately there are too many, and instantly you have a receptacle for cash. And rather than trying to convince somebody that the Whitewater land is worth investing in, the person you're dealing with just wants to get money to the Clintons. They don't give a shit whether the land is marsh or a gold mine. They just have a certain amount of money they want to route towards Bill Clinton, so they buy a lot.
Of anything.
Yeah, no, they buy one lot of land.
Oh, a lot.
Right,
Got it.
in the subdivision. And the money ends up in Bill Clinton or a campaign coffer or...
So it's a secret way of sending money to Bill Clinton if you want to.
It's,
Look at this fancy building, Charles.
Yeah, it's a tactic. It's a tactic that is now this Bond Street. This used to
That
be.
cop just walked out of 10 Bond.
Maybe he was shopping for expensive Milanese shirts.
Maybe, but it seems closed, and that place hasn't gotten struck.
Yeah, Bond Street used to be nearly derelict, but you can see this modern construction, that building over there, this thing.
Well, they have a fancy sushi restaurant somewhere around here on Bond Street. I think actually right over there, if I'm not mistaken. That cop was alone in the car.
Yeah, I wonder what he's doing.
So if you've got this system set up where you can, purchase land to divert funds to whatever, that could go to any type of political campaign. Somebody running for sheriff, somebody running for district attorney. They seem to have all these people in strategic positions that are allowing them to do things like this Howard, I think his name is Paul Howard, the district attorney in Atlanta.
Right, oh, he's a crook.
Well, he didn't even wait for the investigation to conclude before he issued charges. That's certainly not the way justice is supposed to work. You've got to investigate.
He didn't even convene a grand jury.
Correct, and as a matter of fact, he said things that weren't true. He said that the officer Brosnan was going to be a state's witness and that he was the first officer to ever do that. His lawyer quickly shot back saying, we never said we were going to do that. Look, 2 fire trucks.
Yeah.
Something on fire. I've been hearing a lot more sirens during the day and night lately, Charles.
Yeah, me too.
But I haven't been seeing any reporting about what's going on. And then people will now in the comments tell me to listen to a police scanner, but I can't do that and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Wonder what?
I wonder if people will be able to send us in the comments section whether there's news of a protest in either Washington Square Park,
Let's check.
Union Square, St. Mark's Place. Because if so, we can progress towards those 3 places.
Let's see if we've still got the live feed going. We do. 1.7 thousand viewers. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And don't forget, I can't keep bringing you these broadcasts without your support and sponsorship. So please go to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Charles, a lot of that cab pulled over to stop because he presumed we wanted a cab.
Right.
I don't like that when cabs do that.
Yeah. Well, he probably looked at me and said, oh, there's an old fart. He probably wants a cab. Here's Astor Wines and Liquors. Doesn't seem to be terribly open.
No.
That's a good liquor store.
I don't know that I've ever been in there.
Watch, that's a active bike lane, so.
Yeah, it is. We can walk in this. Now, Charles, somebody we know got kicked off of YouTube.
Who's that?
Well, I'll give you a hint. He used to sleep on my couch.
Really?
I don't trust him at all because he's a liar and a social engineer. And people think he was kicked off of YouTube because he was close to the target. I happen to think he was kicked off of YouTube because he accused a woman who is an Army reservist of being patient 0 for coronavirus.
Wow.
And when asked about it, he admitted he had absolutely no evidence, that somebody told him and he didn't know who that person was or if they did or didn't work at the hospital. But it turns out the woman he accused never even had coronavirus, hasn't been sick this whole time. She's been getting death threats.
Wow.
She said on CNN that it's ruined her life. And I know for a fact that George does this as a regular practice, puts out lies about people for, I don't know why. Maybe he believes they're true. Maybe he wants to build his YouTube channel. Maybe he wants to specifically destroy those people. But he's been removed from YouTube, and it is not because he was close to the truth. It was because he regularly engages in disseminating lies and hurts people in doing it. So,
and that's a road you can't go back on? He's permanently out?
I don't know what the details are. I have a feeling he could probably start a new channel, but obviously, you know. And by the way, this is what people who support him have been trying to do to me the whole time. Blue Man Group?
Yeah, we could do Orange Man Group.
I saw this Blue Man Group here many, many years ago, like when it was still like, oh, have you heard of this thing?
Right.
Before it went to Vegas and all that. It says it's closed.
Huh. Permanently closed?
Probably no, but Blue Man Group closed.
Huh.
I mean, you know, obviously you can't be sitting in a
Throwing-
jammed in a theater with everybody.
Throwing paint on people.
Well, we should talk, Charles, about the Trump rally.
Yes, yeah, I watched it. I thought
I saw a bit of it.
Donald Trump. I mean, remember he's 74 years old. He has all the conveniences. He doesn't have to go through security to fly anywhere and all that. But still, he's 74 years old, and he doesn't have the best of diets. It's
No,
a good thing
he
he
should
doesn't.
lose 30 or 40 pounds.
It's a good thing he doesn't smoke and drink. That probably helps.
I think that's probably the main factor in him being as healthy as he is. So that's that Saturn cube, and there's
Right.
no Luciferians that I can see.
Again, those Luciferians, they're tricky.
But the fake news, Charles, is focused on, they're like, oh, see, he didn't sell the place out. So there's like 90,000 people there instead of 100,000.
And 500,000 people on YouTube watching it.
And then, I mean, if you did a Joe Biden event, it's like him and his cat in the basement, and that's it.
And the cat's sleeping.
And 100 people watching live.
Not even 100. And how many of the people watching have last name Biden? You know?
But it's interesting how it played out, because obviously Trump is saying that a lot of people didn't go because they were worried about coronavirus and they were worried about rioting, which is probably true, to tell you the truth.
I thought the substance of his remarks was very good, and I thought...
Look at that, Charles.
What?
What do you
Kia?
think that white vehicle is over there?
Kia?
Yeah, but doesn't it look like a Range Rover?
Does. Let's just make the
I didn't know Kia made a big thing like that.
mirror open.
But I mean, in typical fashion, you know, they're saying, oh, you know, it was a flop. But now I've heard that, first of all, I've seen video of protesters outside definitely hassling people. So
Right.
I don't know.
That's a point, actually, you should bring up. That, you know, what we hear out of the pro-protest camp is that these are just peaceful protesters, and people have a right to protest peacefully. And then it doesn't help their case when the leaders go on TV and say, actually, we're not here to protest peacefully. We're here to burn the system down.
Well, here's that 6 of 7 again. And I also do not agree that...
That's Antifa.
Yes, of course. 6
The
weeks
A.
of 7. No, I know, but what does 6 weeks of 7 mean? And I also don't agree that painting this stuff is
Right.
peaceful protesting. This is
And they
disrupting.
painted the building. You can see the...
Painted the building, but also just doing that at all. The fact that if you want to go to Kmart today, you're confronted with these boards and graffiti, you're not feeling like, oh, you know, it's a nice summer day in New York and I enjoy living in this city. You're feeling like the city's been taken over by hooligans and vandals, and I'm
Right.
fearful to go outside.
Right.
It's a deterioration of the quality of life for everybody. So all these people who think they're being peaceful by painting buildings are wrong.
Right. And again, you know, it's a little known fact that in the American Revolution period, approximately 90% of the population was against the revolution. Right? So typically revolutions happen. Same was true in the Bolshevik Revolution. It was, some say, that low thousands of people overthrew Tsarist Russia. And you know, that's a very cautionary point, that you do see a lot of people out here. I think the American Revolution was noteworthy in a positive sense. At the time, there were many monarchs around the world and queens who held absolute power. This, by the way, is old home week. The little version of Charles Carrotel started playing in this area in 1963.
My buddy on 3rd Avenue went to this school too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, this seemed like vast. I mean, it's like, wow, what a great, and it wasn't like this. It didn't have AstroTurf. It had asphalt. And we would, you know, have a great time yelling and screaming and throwing balls at one another. We played dodgeball in here, which I gather people don't play dodgeball anymore.
Why is it?
Because one of the objectives of dodgeball
Preys on the weak, doesn't it?
well, you try to throw a ball directly at the face of somebody and knock them to the ground.
Yeah. Dodgeball was a game that struck fear into the hearts of the non-athletic
Right.
children around the world.
And this is the entrance to Grace Church School here on the left, right opposite the pool hall.
What is it?
Right here, the Grace Church School.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've been by here before, and I've spoken about this before.
So we'll just.
What's not nice?
we'll just
NYU security. Don't tell me what's not nice. He's walking down the street and he doesn't want to be video recorded. I'll tell you what, NYU security, I got a lot to say about.
Yeah, you got a dog in the hunt.
Exactly. That guy cannot tell me a damn thing. Get off the street if you don't want to be videotaped. NYU. That's not nice. He's got a maniac screaming,
Right.
and I'm not
talking
nice.
about that guy. Anyway, this
Now he's
this
looking right at me.
in the 60s, this used to be used book center. Many of these stores were actually used book places. Of course, the Strand is around the corner.
Yeah.
Gonzo.
Strand is gone?
Maybe let's walk by it, actually. It's
Yeah,
right.
let's
just
walk
check
by it.
out.
That would be bad if that was gone. That's been there forever. But yeah, stuff like that, stuff like, I mean, not that this is the most important thing in the world, but like, we got a lot of radio interference. Something like Forbidden Planet. When I was a kid, that was like a trip into the city. Me and my brother would go to the comic book store, and the thing's been there forever. And I mean, obviously comic books are like not that whatever, but stuff like that goes out of business. You know, what makes the character of a city? If everything is just buildings that you go in and never talk to everybody and order Amazon, why do we need the city?
Right, and we have as well this, you know, we have a mayor and a governor who think that they rule us.
Right.
They wake up and if they decide the city's going to open, it's going to open. Let's cross it, just see. Looks to me kind of closed.
Well, I mean, it's closed for coronavirus, but it's not out of business, is it?
I don't know. And that street's blocked off because there's a police facility in there.
Right. Precinct over there.
I read banned books. I mean, this is absurd to be. We're not. What is today? The 22nd of June.
Yeah.
The shutdown began March 16th.
No, it says please wear a mask, so they're open.
Huh.
And that's the same please wear a mask sign they put up in my building. So what is this? Sign courtesy of Plum Grove Inc. What's Plum Grove Inc.? And why are they giving people signs?
I don't know.
Charles, everything is boarded up here. It doesn't really make you excited to be out and about in the city. So they look like they're prepared to remain open. And then here's the Forbidden Planet.
Should we stop off and get you some comic books?
I haven't bought a comic book probably since high school, but it was, I mean, this is a very famous, hey look, the Terminator has a mask. And he's gay now.
That's for
cool.
pride. For pride.
I know. I don't know if the Terminator is the most tolerant spokesperson.
I doubt it.
It's really hot, Charles.
I know. This is the theater that I try to go to watch movies, and I never can. How many black people? Well, look at this. How many black people were tortured or murdered because of LU Yale? How can Yale continue as an organization with such a racist past?
Wow.
We must shutter this monument to racism and oppression. We must cancel Yale.
Is that true?
Yes. Am I wearing a Yale hat? I think I am.
Yes.
No, LU Yale was a member of the East India Company, and the East India Company was actually more involved, I believe, in plundering in India.
Oh, sorry, Charles.
Sorry.
I was trying to indicate let's cross.
Sorry.
I think we miscommunication there.
And
So
So-
Dutch East India Company, yeah.
so I'm not sure.
So I see all these guys riding around, and they're on the. He's with Seamless, so I guess he's delivering food. But these guys riding around checking their phones seem to be doing that more than usual.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty dangerous to do that. You're not supposed to do that.
Right. But I could see Seamless delivery guys doing it. I could also see people coordinating attacks on bikes doing it. But Dutch East India Company was.
The British East India Company, and there
British.
was also a Dutch East India Company.
Sorry.
But there were a series of companies that engaged in the slave trade in Africa.
The chocolate place went out of business.
No,
Oh no,
it's
there
not
it is.
Brenner. The Portuguese were very big into slave trading from Angola into Brazil.
And isn't Portugal still considered a center of human trafficking? That's where that little girl,
Yeah.
Madeleine McCann, disappeared.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, in America, there's a lot of human trafficking when it comes to numbers.
Nobody's here, Charles. What's going on?
Well, they heard it. The show was so popular, so they said, you know, they got
Better
together. AOC got together and said, what we're going to do is we're going to make Donald Trump's rally look stupid, and we're also going to move the Luciferian thing so that Charles and Jason have nothing to talk about.
Right.
Except
so
that didn't
if the
work.
cops are 12, are we 11? Are people not effing with 11 today?
Did we get any comments as to whether there is a protest?
I was looking, but I think the comments are somewhat delayed. Look at this. The sales are now of wipes, whereas it used to be like phone covers and things.
Well, still phone covers.
Yeah, they've branched out. Hats. I like how quickly the market responds. Like, these guys are definitely capitalists. You know?
Well, you could just walk over there and say, give me one of those shirts.
Right.
Right?
Let's see what anybody says about if there is a protest. Kiki says, can I interview George Webb? This is someone who obviously is not familiar with the history. She needs to go back and see the numerous interviews with George Webb. I'll interview George Webb when he's cross-examined on a witness stand. Masked gay Terminator. They only need words for a weapon. That's right. Cybernetic lives matter, Charles. Where's the helicopter? They seem to be moving around today, which is an indication that there's maybe
they're
not
down in the
anything,
park again.
not anything like in a fixed location. 5 p.m. political foolishness says. Luciferian marches at 5,
Oh, they switched it.
but it said 2.
Yeah.
I'm not going back there
Neither.
at 5. That's a pain. We even started early to be able to try to get it at 2.
So you want to walk over to 7th and then you'll...
Sure. Somebody says get a shirt. I don't think I want to do that. Somebody says, duh, look at the comments. That person, if I could physically slap, I would. Because I'm only doing about 70 things, including trying to maintain situational awareness and not get killed.
I've noticed this all over the place. People just leaving these bags out.
What is that?
I don't know if they're marking spaces or...
This looks like homeless equipment,
Yeah.
but it's just left on the street. I mean, that's dangerous
a
in and of
bag.
itself. There could be anything in here. This could be a bomb. Whose stuff is this?
I don't know.
Where the hell are the cops?
Right there.
Jesus. I'm gonna tell them. Hey there, officers. So, several abandoned bags over there just sitting on the street. Somebody should take a look and make sure it's not anything dangerous.
Okay, where?
Right there.
Right there behind those cars in front of Foot Action. Thanks.
That's good. Stay safe.
See, Charles, we're getting mixed signals as citizens when, first of all, it's not the law that you have to wear a mask, right? Because don't laws have to be voted on? You can't just introduce laws because...
Well, you can interpret a law via regulation to require something, which is slippery slope to do that. That's how Obama ran his presidency, basically. But you're right. There's never been a legislative action in New York City or state where the legislature has passed, voted in favor of a law that the mayor and or governor have signed saying you have to wear a mask. I think it would be kind of tough to get that law through.
Right.
Because some people have adverse reactions to masks.
And I don't want to do it because it's also a slippery slope to, they've got everybody now who wants to come out against anybody, use it. Where do we want to go? This way?
Well, just take a little picture of that.
Just how empty it is? Oh, that.
I mean, that's a serious residence right there.
Guy's socked in. He's got a microwave.
What?
He's got a microwave
I
oven.
know.
So you just get some lunch and start going, oh wait, there was just a graphic there. Did you see it? What was that?
Coronavirus.gov.
But it looked very communist, didn't it?
Yeah, we're in New York City.
I wish I would have seen that.
It'll circulate back if we just wait here for a second.
And when did that become Republic Bank? That was TD Bank.
Next to it.
Huh. That's weird.
Just wait
Virtual meeting.
Isn't today the 22nd?
Yes.
How could it be on Monday, June 22nd?
This is very organized. New York State.
They probably have a whole department of. There's another corrections bus.
It's really interesting.
They're clearly
isn't it?
expecting something.
That says 3778 or something. So it's a different bus, I think, than what we saw. I have never seen an NYC corrections bus inside New York City. And now I've seen 3. And 2 today. It's interesting, isn't it? I think they should just, instead of having jails, they could just throw people in the bus and drive them around.
Yeah, I think they're probably expecting.
Yeah, get off the street if you don't want to be filmed. You're getting filmed, lady! You're in public, you rude old bitches!
Try and get your penis up. I bet you can.
Disgusting, you filthy wench!
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, that is just uncalled for. Those ladies should have just shut up.
Yeah, be careful here. Let's go over here.
Look at how rude everybody is on the street, Charles. How unpleasant it is to be out here. All right, so now we're going level up. The next person with an attitude is getting a dent in their forehead.
That guy was up to no good.
I'll wait till you go home.
All right. Please get home safely.
I will. My tolerance for nonsense is just 0.
I noticed.
Charles, there's so many mean people walking around.
Yep.
Guitar Center, boarded up. You know, life has become really unpleasant. It's a bad thing.
Right.
You just cannot.
This would be ordinarily a bristling thoroughfare, 14th Street here, even on a Sunday.
Drunk old ladies usually don't say anything.
Yeah, remember when on the campaign trail in 2016, Hillary was embracing the idea of nasty women?
There they were.
I know.
They're proud to be nasty.
Whether you're a man or a woman, I think being nasty is, not something to brag about.
I'm not going to get into a high school level argument with a stupid old lady like that.
3 of them. You want to go on the other side of the street, or do you?
Nah, it doesn't matter. I mean, the thing's
We're
not
almost
going to
done.
overheat at this point, and even if it does, we missed the Luciferian thing, so this is basically just an opportunity for people to see how inappropriate most people are on the streets of New York and how they come out in public expecting not to be recorded. I mean, every single one of these lamp posts has a camera on it, so if that lady...
Look at that one.
Wow, what the hell is that?
I don't know.
Charles, that is something new I've never seen before. What on earth is that? Stinks over there.
Oh, mighty. You want to stop in here and get a cigar?
No, thanks. Anyway, people can see what's going on here.
So I'll walk with you over to 14th and 7th rather, and then I'll
Yeah.
peel away.
Some weird stuff going on all over the place, Charles.
Yeah.
See, people are emboldened because they know if they just start something, there's no cops around,
Yeah.
and they're not going to do anything.
So right here, this used to be
Otto
a whole bunch
Manelli?
of businesses knocked down. That used to be a bank.
Oh, no,
knocked
Otto
down.
Moscott.
Muscoot or whatever,
Whatever, yeah.
The eyeglass place.
Right. That was there since like 1920 or something.
Yeah, it's now up there.
I bet you places like that aren't doing well. People
Oh,
can't
no.
go in there. I've wanted to get new glasses for some time.
Look. But this new building has just been thrown up to the right.
Yeah. Well, what's it going to be? Condos, I
It
guess.
says mixed use. I don't know what that means exactly. Here you have the Salvation Army.
Looting and protesting. Mixed use. Oh, Bear Burger went out?
I mean,
All these places are going to go out. Open for curbside pickup.
and you know, why would you go to a curbside pickup to a diner?
Right. The idea is to go in there and eat it. I've been saving a lot of money making my own food, not going to restaurants and not, going to the food bar every day.
I find it's actually quite relaxing to make your own food.
It's got pros and cons. It's been putting pressure on my schedule. Takes more time for sure, and also I got to be very on top of, because there's like a fee to get the groceries delivered, so I'm trying to like buy a bunch at once and not do it all the time. And then certain things I'm eating like a day after they say not to eat it.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's when they want to sell it. I mean, if it smells weird, I won't eat it, but
So that explains why you're green.
maybe. It's all the negative energy oozing off of everyone.
Yeah. So what else is going to happen this week? I guess we're going to start having more earnings releases. We're several weeks away from the second quarter earnings release.
What does that have to do with the Islanders? I guess they just watch hockey at the bar.
I guess so. So we'll get more clues as to how well or poorly businesses are doing.
That looks like artwork to me.
Yeah, that is artwork.
I mean, this
As
does
is
not.
As is that.
Yeah, that looks like artwork. That looks like artwork. This looks like vandalism.
Graffiti.
Yeah. So more earnings. So Charles, they're saying that retail increased the most. Something seems wrong with that. How could retail have the biggest?
Well, maybe if it counts online retail, it's certainly not going to be in-store retail. That's got
So
to
I
be.
mean, it seems deceptive.
But maybe online took off.
I guess so.
Jason,
but-
I'm going to leave you here,
Okay,
let you wend your way home.
no problem. So let me just grab the mic there.
Sure.
Well, sorry we missed the Luciferians, Charles.
I'm sure. I am sure.
Can still hear you a little bit.
I'm sure we'll hear about it tonight.
Yeah, we'll hear about it. All right, Charles. Have a lovely day.
All right, sir. Get home safe.
You too.
Be in touch.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
And I'll speak to you soon. All right, so we'll keep this rolling. Monitor the maniacs, which are undoubtedly still plentiful on this walk home. Apologize if anybody was insulted, but don't say stuff on the street. Oh, low battery. All right, that's fine. So we're almost out. I just hope that people are aware that if you're out in public and someone's running a video camera and you get recorded by it, that's your problem. Wear a full face mask if you don't want to be seen, or don't go outside. But you can't start yelling at people and fighting with them for recording things on their cell phone outside. Well, I apologize that we didn't get to see the Luciferian thing. We checked it last night. It said 2 p.m., so I don't know how we missed that. I hope that people will become sponsors by going to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Your sponsorship really helps improve the show. I've just added another layer of redundancy to the studio setup that will hopefully help avoid the types of crashes we were having with Skype. Every system has been upgraded to a new system software that will also hopefully help. People have stopped cleaning up after their dogs on the street. So many businesses are still boarded up despite tomorrow being phase 2 of the opening of New York City. It just doesn't feel very open at all. It definitely does not feel very inviting at all. And even for somebody like me who's lived here basically all his life and really likes it, it's becoming increasingly difficult to enjoy living here. And I just don't really know what my options are. Here's another Verizon Fios truck. There have been so many of those around. It's become an undeniable feature of the pandemic that we have to acknowledge. A lot of people say they're installing 5G and that has something to do. I don't know. Don't know. Okay, so here's the cafeteria. This is a popular restaurant. Is this back to open? There's another Verizon truck right down there. I mean, are they so busy on a Sunday? There's 2 Verizon trucks on this corner. They have good fried Oreos here. See, some people are happy to be recorded out on the streets, enjoying a nice day outside. That's nice to see people smiling and friendly. What's with those angry old ladies? I don't think friendliness knows a race. You either are or aren't. Oops. Oh, I can feel the phone getting super hot. I'm surprised it hasn't overheated. It's 2 blocks up is the police precinct. We'll see what they're doing there. I mean, you know, normally there's a ton of traffic coming down 7th Avenue here. There's a car decorated for the Puerto Rico parade. Is that sometime soon? I think that's what that's decorated for. Okay, let's see. Get any comments here. Almost done for the day. This phone is now, I think, overheated. The one I was getting the comments from is the screen is super dark and it feels really hot in my hand and I can't read the comments. There we go. Parades celebrating America are done with. Well, maybe, I don't know. Today is the 21st, Jay says. Okay. I thought it was the 22nd, but okay. Right, Friday was the 19th. Right, yes, the 21st. Okay. So we got that wrong. Thank you for the correction. CC is correct in that comment. High Plains cheddar. Sometimes there's really weird comments here. Okay, so here's the police are super barricaded today. That's interesting. I guess they're learning about how this works, and you can see it's hot. People are buying air conditioners. I agree with that. I need to get mine fixed. So look at how they've got these now tied together, because I guess people were taking these things and throwing them at the cops. So now they've made like stronger barricades out of the barricades. Yeah, I mean, you know. Wine bar is boarded up. How can this place stay in business? The rent's got to be pretty expensive. Lynn Max says, Jason, exclamation point. Hello. It is a beautiful day. It's very sad that so many places are out of business, boarded up. Be sure to vote on Tuesday. That's a good reminder. Don't I have to be registered to, is it a primary? I'm not sure if I can vote. I don't know if I'm registered as anything. People are asking, why is there so much ground floor scaffolding in New York City? I mean, there always is. They're just always doing some kind of repairs or, I don't know, power washing or upgrading or doing whatever. Sad indeed. That's right, Belinda. It's very sad. It's just miserable. So 23rd Street, there's a lot of radio interference. People can hear it. Restaurants that already have outdoor seating are definitely getting ready to open tomorrow, I guess, or maybe they're even open today. Nobody's really over there at Restivo. A lot of places apparently going out of business. I think this place definitely. Jennifer says it looks like Manila Street. You mean like a street in Manila? There's a Target bag right there. Isn't that interesting? I've noticed a lot of Target bags around. I guess somebody just hung that there.
A couple that I played growing up with them.
I guess those guys just hung that up there for whatever reason.
Everyone had their own,
So here we got radio interference. Well, I guess that's sort of it for today. Not very eventful. Oh, somebody smashed this. When did that get broken? So there you go, more damage. I don't think we really even need public phones anymore, but somebody owns that. So there you go. Destroy other people's stuff. Terrorize the entire neighborhood. Make people feel uncomfortable coming out of their houses. Prison workout, whatever. It's cool. So, you know, you got the line to get into Whole Foods. All right, everybody, that's it for today. We'll have to tune into some other news to see what's going on with the Luciferian parade. They must have published the West Coast time for some reason. Thanks for watching, everybody.